नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकतः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदय अन्धभद्राणि विघ्नोति श्रुतिसतम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकीः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Verse 44. Vidyadhara Uvacha Swanmayayattham Abhipadya Kalevaresmi Kritva Mama Aham Iti Durmate Utpatehi Svaihi Chittopya Asad Vishaya Lalasa Atma Moham Yushmat Katamrita Nisevaka Ut Yudasavet. Translation. The Vidyadhara said, Dear Lord, this human form of body is meant for attaining the highest perfectional objective, but impelled by your external energy, the living entity misidentifies himself with his body and with the material energy, and therefore, influenced by Maya, he wants to become happy by material enjoyment. He is misled and always attracted by temporary illusory happiness. But your transcendental activities are so powerful that if one engages in the hearing and chanting of such topics, he can be delivered from illusion. Purport from Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The human form of life is called Arthat because the body can very nicely help the embodied soul to achieve the highest perfection. Prahlad Maharaj said that even though temporary, the body can give us the highest perfectional achievement. In the process of evolution from the lower to the higher grade of living, the human form of life is a great boon. But Maya is so strong that in spite of achieving this great boon of human form of life, we are influenced by temporary material happiness and we forget our goal of life. We are attracted by things which will cease to exist. The beginning of such attraction is the temporary world. In this horrible condition of life, there is only one way of liberation, to engage in the activities of transcendental chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. The words Yushmat, Katamrita, Nishevaka mean those who engage in relishing the nectar of topics of your Lordship. There are two narrative books which especially concerns the words and activities of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is the instruction given by Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is a book containing topics exclusively about Krishna and his devotees. These two books are the special nectar of the words of Krishna. For those who engage in the teaching of these two Vedic literatures, it is very easy to get out of illusory conditional life imposed upon us by Maya. The illusion is that the conditioned soul does not try to understand his spiritual identity. He is more interested in his external body, which is only a flash and which will be finished as soon as the time is designated. The whole atmosphere will change when the living entity has to transmigrate from one body to another. Under the spell of Maya, he will again be satisfied in a different atmosphere. This spell of Maya is called Avarnatmika Shakti because it is so strong that the living entity is satisfied in any abominable condition. Even if it is born as a worm, living within the intestine or abdomen in the midst of urine and stool, still he is satisfied. This is the covering influence of Maya. But the human form of life is a chance to understand. If one misses this opportunity, he is most unfortunate. The way to get off illusory Maya is to engage in the topics of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya advocated a process whereby everyone may remain in his present position without change, but simply hear from proper authoritative sources about Krishna. Lord Chaitanya advised everyone to spread the word of Krishna. He advised, all of you become spiritual masters. Your duty is simply to talk to whomever you meet of Krishna or of the instructions given by Krishna. The International Society of Krishna Consciousness is operating for this purpose. We do not ask anyone to first change his position and then come to us. Instead, we invite everyone to come with us and simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because we know that if one simply chants and hears the topics of Krishna, one's life will change. He will see a new light and his life will be successful. नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. I like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for my any shortcomings. And this is my first time presentation. I thank you once again for the entire forum and the team for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this and getting associated with all your devotees, which has helped a lot in my spiritual growth. I'll try to brief out the key understanding of this verse within the time frame. Please bear with me. So, what I understood from this verse and what are the knowledge I have gained from hearing from the great other acharyas, speeches, teachings, and from Srila Prabhupada's purport, it is this. All living entities who are in 8,400,000 species of life embodied are part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of 8,400,000 species of life, human form of life is one of the greatest boon, because it is in this human form the living entity can achieve its highest perfection or goal. It is said that even the demigods desire to have a human form, because only in this form the living entity is entitled to perform actions out of his will with his discriminative power. If you consider animals who lack the discriminative power, that is why they live and respond by instinct nature. They cannot live as per their own will. It is only in this human form of life one has the freedom to perform actions. That is why the human form is considered to be a great boon. Although it is temporary, but this body can give us the highest perfection, as said by Prahlad Maharaj. Even after getting this human form, we are not able to achieve that perfection. This is because of Maya, which is one of the external energy of the Lord. This Maya is so strong that it divides the living entity, and the living entity, under the influence of Maya, forgets his real identity. That is, he is a part and parcel of the Lord and is a servant, and he has to only work for pleasing the Lord. But instead, under the influence of Maya, he considers himself to be this body and tries to please the body and body-related activities. And instead of pleasing the Lord, he starts pleasing himself by enjoying this material world, which is temporary material happiness. This is the beginning stage of ignorance and thinking himself the body-related pleasures, which extends to his family members, relatives, and so on and so forth. And thus the living entity gets entangled to such an extent that the darkness of ignorance deepens as he keeps interacting with the material world. We are attracted by things which will cease to exist, that which is temporary. Everything in this material world is temporary. So we will be never satisfied even if we get to enjoy the entire universe. This is because we belong to the eternal world and our intrinsic nature is eternity. We want eternal happiness, not temporary. This is the reason why we never get satisfied with any of our achievements we make. Again, there will be a next achievement if one of the achievements gets satisfied. And this list keeps going on and there is never end to this list. And one point, the time comes where the human form is being taken away from us. So what happens if we lose this human form? After that, the living entity will get another body based on his activity and desires to be fulfilled. Again, under the spell of Maya, he will again be satisfied in a different atmosphere. This spell of Maya is called Avaranatmika Shakti because it's so strong that the living entity is satisfied in any abominable condition, even if it's born as a worm or a pig who enjoys living on the stools or in the abdomen of myths of urine and stool, still he feels that he is enjoying and is satisfied. This is what is the covering of influence of Maya. There is no other way to overcome Maya by one's endeavors, as this is Krishna's energy. As said by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 14, Daivihi Esha Gunamani, Mama Maya Duratyaya, Mama Eva E Prapadayante, Mayam Etam Tarante. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and of all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are parts and parcels of his life and are therefore divine, but due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by this Maya, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and the spiritual natures are emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they are eternal. The living entity belongs to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nityabadha or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in the material history. That is why it is said beginningless. This ignorance is beginningless. We cannot trace from where and how we have been into this ignorance. Consequently, because of this, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy. Because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, the living entity cannot overcome. The Vedas confirms this as follows. Mayam tu prakritim vidyan mayinam tu maheshwaram. The meaning of this verse is, although Maya is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of the Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Since Maya is controlled by the Supreme Lord, so the human form of life is a chance to understand, and if one misses this opportunity, he is most unfortunate. It is said if one does not utilize this human form for God realization, then he is well into committing suicide. Those who have forgotten Krishna must certainly be bewildered, but those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all, since both the energies are controlled by Krishna. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvam Jnana Plavena, Jnanagni Sarva Karmani, Nahi Jnanana Sadrisham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed. And what is that knowledge? That knowledge is the perfect knowledge which is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna, as is said in the 7th chapter, 19th verse. Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mama Prapadyate. After passing through many births, when one perfect in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna or one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to him as the sun reveals everything in the daytime. The words Yushmat, Katamrita, Nisevaka mean those who engage in relishing the nectar of topics of your Lordship. So the only way to overcome is to engage in the activities of transcendental chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The key takeaway is that in all situations of our material poisoning, the only ultimate antidote is the Lord's holy name. Vedavyasa Muni said that the greatest and the utmost mercy the God bestows upon the living entity is by giving these two. Number one is getting the human form of life. And second, in the same human form of life, one being getting associated with a bona fide spiritual master. Well, whereas Adi Shankaracharya has said there is one more additional requirement, and that is to have jigyasu, that is curiosity to know the absolute truth. This can be explained with an analogy of you can compel the horse and take the horse to lake, but you cannot make the horse to drink the water unless the horse has thirst or desire to do so. Similarly, even if you have a human form of life and somehow or the other by your good fortune you get associated with the great spiritual masters, one should have the jigyasu of knowing the supreme personality of Godhead. I end my understanding over here. Hare Krishna.